nations are made on the basis of the commonality of its subjects in terms of race, religion, ethnicity, language, ideology, or just an iron-handed rule which makes a nation. But not so with this nation which we today know as India and the nation that we have known as Bharat for many millennia. It is a wonder of wonders for the rest of the world as to how is this a nation. I'm sure every Indian also once in a way wonders, how the hell are we one country? What is it that is making us into one nation? If you look back, as others were mentioning, if you drive 50 kilometers, people speak a different language, they eat different kind of food, they look different, they speak… everything is different about them. What is it that holds us together as one nation? This is a nation that was built on a dream of achieving a right rhythm with which we can arrive at the ultimate level or ultimate status of well-being, both in the inner and outer worlds. In this search, in this longing, in this striving to find that rhythm, we became a nation of seekers. I want you to understand this. When we say we are a nation of seekers, that means we are not believers. There is no established belief system. There is no stone-cast moral code in this country. This culture imbibes without any inhibition. Whatever works, we are willing to take it on. It doesn't matter for where it comes. So why are we like this? We are like this because the fundamental nature of this nation has always been seeking. Seeking for what? So people looked at it, initially you seek for survival. When survival is taken care of, pleasure. When pleasure is taken care of, general well-being. When that is taken care of, then what? Ultimately, a human intellect and human intelligence realizes the most valuable thing in the existence is freedom. So we are seekers of freedom. The only and only goal, if you're born in this culture, is mukti. This is a very misunderstood word. When I say mukti, people think, oh, should I go up or go down? Well, let's understand this first. Are we living on a round planet or a flat planet? Please tell me. I am on a flat dais. Are we living on a round planet or a flat planet? I want to hear that. Round. I don't know how you came to this conclusion. Walk up and down this hall and tell me, is it a round planet or a flat planet? In your experience, it's still flat, but we know it is round for various reasons now. So on this round planet, you are not even sitting on the North Pole, you are sitting at a certain latitude and it's spinning on top of it. Now, if you look up, invariably you look up in the wrong direction, isn't it? Does anybody here or anywhere know which is up and which is down in this cosmos? Is it somewhere marked, this side up in this cosmos? You do not know which is up and which is down. You do not know which is forward and which is backward. There is only one context to your life as to which is inward and which is outward. If you do not exercise this context, you will cease to be existential, you will just become psychological. Contexts that we created for convenience, if you take them as real, you will get divided. So this is the fundamental, that seeking for mukti, seeking for liberation, seeking freedom means becoming free from ignorance. When I say ignorance, do not define ignorance as what you do not know. Ignorance is the limits of what you know. The boundaries of what you know is your ignorance. What you do not know is not your ignorance. So, based on this, the whole nation became a nation of seekers. This may be a little absent today in the urban population, but even today if I go to a village, if I speak to an illiterate peasant, if I ask him, what do you want? He will not ask, I want a golden horse. He will say, Ya mukti. He has not read any scriptures, he has not heard any teachings, but it is so deep-rooted. It is this one thread that we are a nation of seekers. Though we look different, we eat different, we speak different languages, everything is different about us because the seeking. When you are a seeker, you will always become an individual. You cannot form a group. If you're a believer, you will form a group. Somebody believes one thing, you believe something else, there is bound to be a quarrel somewhere. So this fundamental that we have, that in this culture, heaven is not the highest thing, God is not the highest thing, the ultimate seeking is always for freedom. Freedom from ignorance, freedom from everything that we are limited by. That which chains us, that which limits us, that which sets boundaries around us. As a nation, we have come a long way in many ways. It has been 1,000 years of continuous invasions, but still, we have been chewed, battered, distorted, but we haven't lost it. That is the beauty of this, because it is individual, it is not organizational, it is not something that's organized, this is something that's bubbling in every heart. Is this cultural? Is this religious? Is this spiritual? No, this is just human. It is a natural human longing to become free from everything. It is just that when you're denied something or when you're deprived of something, you may believe something is very high. I happened to be in Tel Aviv. I was supposed to speak to a group of people and I was to arrive there at noontime and address them, but because of some delays in the flight, I landed at 6 o'clock, 6:30 is my talk. This is 30 years of Isha. In these 30 years, I have not been late to a single appointment till now. So I didn't want to break that. So from the airport, I went straight. So I discovered when I went there, I was to speak in a restaurant. You eat in a restaurant. Some restaurants are famous for food, some are famous for the ambience that they set, but some are famous for the conversations that happen in the restaurant. So it seems in Tel Aviv, the most intelligent conversations happened in this restaurant and not in the parliament. I went there, people were greeting me and one man came and said, Shalom. I said, what does that mean? He said, this means, this is the highest way of greeting. I said, that is your opinion, but what does it mean? He said, it means peace. This is the highest way of greeting. I said, why would peace be the highest way of greeting unless you're born in Middle East? In South India, if somebody comes up to me in the morning and says peace, I will ask him, what's wrong with you? Whatever you're deprived of becomes the highest thing. If you're deprived of food, that becomes the highest thing. If you're deprived of love, that becomes the highest thing. If all these things are taken care of, one thing that a human being will always long for is to be free from everything. To be free essentially means to move from a compulsive nature of existence to a conscious nature of existence. This is what is needed right now in our country as a nation. We evolved a system as to how to develop an individual human being. We never evolved a system as to how to develop a society. This system we called as Samskriti. Today, this word is being dismissed as culture. It is not culture. Sam means equanimous, kriti means to do. To do life in an equanimous manner. Another meaning for sam is exuberance. Another meaning for sam is well. To do your life in an equanimous way, in an exuberant way, and doing it well. If you do this, everything around you will be okay. Today we are trying to impose moral codes upon our society. You need to understand, India is a society without morality because we always relied on stirring up our humanity rather than depending upon the morality. The morality of one person is an obscenity for another person. So we always had means and ways and tools as to how to stir up the humanity within us, and that humanity has been the basis of this nation. It is that fundamental human longing to become free which has been the main thread, which is holding all these multiple cultures together as one nation. Though it is being propagated like India was born in 1947, no. The other cultures everywhere in the world experience this as one nation for thousands of years. Even though there were many political entities, many times over 100 entities, in spite of that people saw it as Bharat, because they saw these unique people who did not believe in anything particular, who had no moral sense, but they were perfectly on the track because they were not a bundle of morality, but an effervescent humanity. This has to be brought back into India, because when you are a seeker, you are not in collision with anybody. When you are a seeker, there is a certain humility about you because you have not assumed anything. You can become a seeker only when you realize the immensity of I do not know. If you realize the immensity that you do not know so many things about the existence, with so much science and technology, we still cannot figure one single atom in its entirety. That is the reality of our existence. If we understand this, if we operate from this, that we become seekers, India can once again find its glorious days. When I say glorious days, right now everybody is talking about economy. 1,000 years ago, India contributed to the world in terms of 53% of the world's economy was India. 500 years ago, we were about 26% of the world's economy. When the British left us in 1947, we were 3.6% of the world's economy. Today, we have risen to 6%. But as a population, we are almost 25% of the world's population. We must at least achieve this 25% of the world's economy in the remaining 5 to 10 years. If we do not do this, we will keep our people subjugated forever. We are at a unique time, that is for the very first time, we have the necessary tools, we have resources, we have the capability, and we have the technology to address every human problem in this country and the rest of the world. This generation has a unique opportunity that we can move about 600 million people from one level of existence to a completely different level of existence in an incredibly short time, because we have all the means in place. The only thing that is missing is an inclusive consciousness among the people. And this is going to be the fundamental challenge, that we will not identify with little identities that we have around us. We will not demolish them either, because you cannot demolish that, but a larger identity of the nation. The youth of India today has this tremendous possibility, responsibility, and a privilege in front of you, that you could change the way people live in this country. We have had a whole lot of people, almost 3/4 of this nation's population has had such a bad deal. Such a bad deal, a large part of them are still in an extremely bad situation where about 29 rupees is wealth per day. When we are in such a situation, we have an opportunity to change this. We have everything in place. Only you and me have to get into place. That's the only thing that's missing. To make India once again a glorious nation. When I talk about glory, I'm not talking about the economic or the military prowess of the nation. Yes, that is also needed. But more than that, India should embrace the world like a garland. India is capable of bringing a new level, new paradigm of success into the world, a new paradigm of what it means to be successful in terms of bringing human well-being. We have the necessary technologies and the wisdom to make this happen. We have to make this world a beautiful place, not by conquest, not by capturing, but by captivating the world. This is a possibility that you're sitting on.
What are the opportunities the nation has today in nation building with 1.2 billion people?
This nation is a tremendous opportunity, a possibility. This is something
that anybody who looks at this nation with closely enough can clearly see here, rest of the world clearly sees that this is a nation of tremendous possibility. But what we need to understand is, between a possibility and a reality, there is a distance. Do you have the courage, the commitment and the conviction to walk the distance? That's always the question. I remember when I was at the Economic Forum in 2008, when things were happening and they were campaigning about India everywhere, there was an exuberance among Indians, though rest of them were in depression because economic recession had hit the West. And Indians were in great exuberance, India everywhere, all across Geneva, India everywhere, posters and hoardings and big thing going on. So I was in a morning breakfast meeting with, a few of our union ministers and all the top corporate people and everything. They were all pumping India everywhere, this is it, we're gonna make it. And that day I told them, I said the same thing, there is a distance between possibility and reality. Definitely it's a great possibility, we are sitting on the threshold. But do not underestimate our ability to goof things up. Immediately our minister said, Sadhguru, of all the people, you are being pessimistic. I said, I am not being pessimistic. I am the last person to be pessimistic about anything. But I know our ability to goof things. I see it every day. The way they drive on the street, the way they do things, the way everything is made. We have a phenomenal ability to goof up things because we are too much genius with very little organization. Yes, everybody thinks he's a genius. I've been talking about this, suddenly I cannot speak about this because, because now the situation is I'm not saying this in a political context. I've said this well before our present Prime Minister came. If you go sit in a tea shop, in a street side, in a rural India… No, I'm not talking politics. If you sit in a tea shop in somewhere rural India, street side, because I've driven across the country, I've sat in dabas and tea shops so much. I've crisscrossed India on my motorcycle, so I lived in dabas and tea shops all the time. So, you will see the guy who's making the tea there, he will be telling how Tendulkar should have made the right shot. How his technique is not good, he's doing the wrong approach. He will be talking about how the Prime Minister should have run the country differently. Only problem with him is he does not know how to make good tea. Okay. Now it's changed. This example I cannot use anymore. So, this is the problem, we are too exuberant. A society like this is generally considered a high-context society. With too much context, not enough content. It's a very beautiful way to exist on one level, but if we do not organize, if we do not focus this natural exuberance of the people, a certain intelligence which is free-willing intelligence, you will have a chaotic situation which seems to be going somewhere but not going anywhere. It's like a whirlwind making its own rounds. So it needs a little forceful engagement of pushing it in a certain direction. A little authority to push it. This whirlwind is fine, but as long as it goes where it goes. A whirlwind is a fantastic thing because it's powered by itself. People don't understand what powers India. It's powered by itself. It's just like a whirlwind, but you must be able to direct it in the direction that you want it to go. That needs a little bit of authority. But we picked up all kinds of fancy ideas. We don't like authority, We don't like any kind of authority. We would like to go all over the place. The driving on the street is a clear demo.
This time's election is asked for clarity of leadership. This time's election,
Yes.
there's no undoubtedly about it, the kind of majority they've been given, it's to deliver. Deliver with decisiveness. You can call it authoritarianism or you call it decisiveness. I think that's a choice.
I'm not talking about authoritarianism, but a certain authority which organizes this whirlwind of chaos is needed for this country to push it in one direction, otherwise we'll keep going round and round. We've been sitting on a threshold. For me, the economic development that everybody is talking about, I am not thinking about how you can transform your life from Maruti to Mercedes, that doesn't matter to me. I'm not against cars, I like them but that is not the thing. There are over 600 million people. Today night, after this is over, when we go wherever we go, the table at which we sit, there will be a choice of dinner that you and me can choose. There are 600 million people who have no such choice tonight. The child who has to go to school tomorrow, he is not eating what is necessary for him to go and remember who is Mahatma Gandhi's wife. He doesn't care a damn, because he's not eaten right. The woman who carries a child in her womb doesn't have the necessary nourishment to bring out something that's worthwhile. A man who goes on the field tomorrow, he doesn't have necessary nourishment to do the right work. The cattle that he handles, the beast that plows the land is better fed than him. Now, this can change in next 5 to 8 years' time if we handle things right. And it matters that we handle this right.
I have just one final question to basically to sum up. Where do you see India 2020, which is close by, or 2030, which is a little away? How do you see it? Would you like to see that happen? And secondly, will that be fulfilled? What's your dream and vision of India 2020, 2030?
Some of the major things for India is, we are a large mass of people. When World War II happened, for example, in 42 to 44, about 6 million Jews were killed there, and that's a big thing, and still it is kept up. But over 3 million people in Bengal, Assam area died, not because of war, simply because all the food was taken away for the British Army. 3 million people. But people of this nation die quietly, they don't make noises. So, after that there have been famines. Since 1964, we have not had a major famine. We have overcome that thanks to the Green Revolution and our wonderful Swaminathan and all this stuff. One of the most important things is food security, which we are losing out big time because we're just yielding to certain forces in the world. India has to ensure food and water is taken care of for our people. By 2020, we must be 100% on the ball with food and water. Otherwise, other nations will not attack you with bombs, they will just control your food and you will fall at their feet. Understand? So, food and water must be secured 100%. Industrial development, IT, this, that, these things will happen anyway. Certain policy changes and investment comes means manufacturing will happen, all those things will happen. But whatever the food in this land of Bharat that we need to eat must be generated here, because we have a land which produces food 12 months of the year, which is a phenomena. Very few countries in the world can do that.